got that cough too, so here's to you. Happy New Year. I'm so excited about this talk because I've been coming here for weeks, and when I finally get to share with you, I get so serious. And yet, visioning, just as Reverend Barbara said, it can be so juicy and so exciting as we tap into that greater idea, and we have this wonderful new year as the day turned from December 31st into January 1st, this whole new opportunity to express the excitement of a new vision, a new idea expressed through us as us. And the meditation was just such like a commercial, such a brief idea of the lead questions when you sit for a visioning. We do visioning here in the pavilion once a month at 8 o'clock, and you're all welcome to sit in the questions as we share in that consciousness together. And the questions are allowing ourselves to determine a focus for our mind and to focus on divine purpose to be expressed through us. A lot of the teaching and a lot of the philosophy of the science of mind leads us to that direction of finding ourselves no longer the victim and no longer even satisfied with just simply, co-creating our experience, even though that is fabulous and amazing work. But you get to a point where you evolve in consciousness and you witness the genius. You witness that intelligence that's out there for you to download gently into your being and be expressed out into your world, through your heart by means of you, through great love. So the question is always started when we start our new year, what is God's divine idea for me this year? Different than making resolutions, different than dictating how Spirit's going to show up in your world. You are opening your heart, you're opening your being, you're opening your whole idea for this greater movement to be expressed and this love to move through you. And what happens is our soul already knows. There is a divine connection to the soul of who we are that is beyond our five senses, beyond our personality. So there's this part of us that goes, oh yes, that's what that is. And our hearts are touched with great love. And so I was, last night when I was closing up all my material, when I was preparing for the talk, I ran across this story of a soul to remind you of this truth within you that already knows. Because sometimes we doubt that. We doubt that there's a place that knows. Soul, said God, I have a mission for you. A mission, the soul thought. Only angels had missions. Well, yes, I'm ready, the soul said aloud. You will go to earth for a certain period of time, God proclaimed. Earth? From what the angels say, it's dark and heavy there. Yes, compared to where you are. But one of your jobs will be to bring light. Well, how do I do that? You will receive instructions, said God. There will be a time set aside for that. Well, what's time? The soul said. God sighed. It's very hard to explain, but when you're in it, you'll know it. Whatever you say, replied the soul. You will receive what you need to help you complete your mission, God continued. It will also be hard to understand at first, but you'll have plenty of time to get used to it. You're talking about time again. All right, the point is, I'm giving you something unique for your mission on earth, and it's called a body. Well, thank you, but what's a body? Oh, no, I guess there's no point asking. I'll find out. Well, that's right. Just remember, the main thing, okay, God speaking, the main thing is not to fear. You guys knew that, right? You guys figured that part out. Okay. In a flash, the soul found itself in a strange situation. It seemed to be in kind of a cave, smooth and soft all around. The energy was dense, but the soul moved through it easily. At the same time, there was an embracing warmth, almost like being in the presence of the Creator. Then an angel appeared, a presence of gentle light. The angel lit a candle and opened an immense book. The angel explained that the soul was now inhabiting a body and would soon enter into the human world as a tiny member of the human species. The soul listened and began to understand the wondrous purpose of existence and the special role it would have in its earthly life. The angel also gave instructions explaining how the soul could stay connected with the spiritual world it had temporarily left behind. The knowledge was delicious. The soul could even taste it. The soul felt radiant with joy. Remember, this dwells within you as you, that same fearlessness, that same pure joy. The angel gazed sweetly at the soul, kissed it on its upper lip, just below the nose before the soul could speak. It disappeared. Warm darkness surrounded the soul, and it slipped into a deep, restful sleep. When it awoke, the soul realized that its body was going through a great change. There was pressure and movement, and the soul wondered what was happening and tried to remember what the angel said. There was something about a beginning a mission, and there were instructions the angel had given, but the soul suddenly realized its clarity of understanding was gone. Panic rose, and the soul wanted to escape. Remember, the main thing is not to fear, said the inner voice. So when I say certain parts of this story, let these messages resonate with your soul. The main thing is not to fear. So when you vision whatever comes up, and you know that there is opportunity to release that would be the fear. The soul quieted itself, but the urge to get out was strong. As the thoughts of escape grew louder, the soul suddenly found itself being pushed with a mighty force into what seemed to be a tunnel. In a moment it was sliding down toward a glimmer of light that reminded the soul ever so slightly of home. What a lift that small bit of light gave the soul. Then a breeze swept through, a delicious breath of life followed by a vibration, a sound that came from its body. A moment later, the body was completely embraced, held, and rocked with a gentle motion. The soul could focus now and saw faces and eyes, almost as sweet as the angels. Voices, one low and one high, spoke nearby with happy words like music, loving voices reminding the soul of the warmth and love of the soul world. And the soul felt the delight. The surrounding energy began to settle into a calmer, more regular movement. Warmth now flowed into the body, a sweet-tasting liquid. Lips and fingers moved on soft, warm skin. The fragrance of body, milk, and fabric were a kaleidoscope, changing each moment. The soul was thrilled at this new beginning for its life. It poured its light into all these sensations, longing to express its surprise and happiness. Its eyes opened and sent a loving look to the eyes that gazed back with a smile. The soul knew that a great miracle had occurred and sent a thankful song back to whoever had brought it to this experience. The soul realized that the past and all the places it had been had become hazy now, and the soul could only hope to find a way to remember. So, envisioning, you have the opportunity to remember that longing to express this idea of love and light out into your world. There's an Apache prayer that is part of a visioning process. The Native Americans spend so much of their life experience following the vision, being called by their vision. And in particular, this part of the prayer, looking behind. Isn't that interesting? We had a vision this morning speaking of this, but looking behind, I am filled with gratitude. Looking forward, I am filled with vision. Looking upwards, I'm filled with strength. Looking within, I discover peace. So what we're seeking here is that which is constantly saying, as Emma Curtis Hopkins says, behold me, behold me. There is this deep ache in our heart, in our existence, to know the answer to this deep longing of the heart. So when it comes to vision, it's not dreams where we are just looking at things that don't quite make sense. A vision is a quick image that the soul speaks with image, and it can come through you so quickly and awaken you so brightly into that moment. As I was driving here today over that little churn creek, I come by down Hartnell, and there's just this little waterway. And this lovely white heron, they're always usually at Mary and Paul's house, but we had this beautiful white heron that just popped up and started to walk across Hartnell. And I'm thinking, is this for real? As I'm getting ready to do this talk about vision, and then it lifted its wings with that gracefulness that only a heron can do, and floated over to the stream on the other side. And I thought, is there anything even down there? And I saw the water moving. But I thought, there it is. It's that quick. It's that graceful. Here is this bird that was so brilliant white and so filled with grace, reminding me of this vision of light and grace, always moving, always with no fear. You know, here this bird had no fear that this was Hartnell and trucks come. It just did its thing and gracefully moved across. So these visions are messages that come from beyond. And it is our divine duty to just stay open and to smile and to welcome these great ideas of spirit that come through to us as messages. And it also is our divine purpose to make a commitment to our visions. And when we can make a commitment to our vision, as Dr. Michael Beckwith, he has done so much work on bringing the idea of visioning as a spiritual practice into the forefront, that so many spiritual communities are driven by the practice of vision for all their major decisions unfolding. So I invite you in your life experience as you prepare for this year to sit with an idea of visioning for your own world and make a commitment to that, to allow that sense, as High Eagle, another Native American, says, bringing yourself into the vision. You want to prepare for it, to receive this vision, and then accept it when it comes. There's the tricky part, because I'm sure many of you are moved with nudges and urges, divine impulses to follow through with something, and then all of those voices come up of your unworthiness, or not me, I don't have time. Remember, as God was speaking to that soul, to the soul, there is no idea of time, and it can be done through you, as you. So this idea, I love this idea of yielding to our visions. Yielding to our visions with a sense of humility. So we're not dictating to God and outlining how it's going to turn out. We are yielding for the right way of spirit to move through us, and to allow this function of intuition to be developed in such a way that the self-transformation can't help but be made manifest. So how do we do that? We need to be flexible to allow for change to occur. We cannot be rigid anymore in our beliefs. We cannot be held or dictated by our past. We have learned from that, and we turn and give thanks to that, and then we move ourselves forward. We don't live in fear and get out of touch. We don't live in any kind of quiet desperation, longing for this vision to just happen. For this, if yours was as big as world peace. We live those principles, and we begin to anchor into the wisdom of the mystics that saw that vision themselves and recognized that greater good always unfolding. So you see the seed within yourself, and you allow this vision to be planted into the consciousness of your own mind, and you watch it quicken, and you watch it reveal itself, and you will trust in this process of visioning. So this idea of aligning with this joy, I started off with speaking to that. It should feel joyful. It should feel exciting for you to vision your world. In my work as a cardiac rehab nurse, a patient started on Friday, And she said, it's my intention to lose 100 pounds this year. And so I could go, I looked up at her, and I went, whoa, that's a vision. And she was so determined, and I said, I support you in that, and I see that unfolding for you. And I could dwell in the doubt or her age, or I could do these things, but her power of her vision for herself, I couldn't help but accept it for her. And she gets on those machines, and she starts working hard. And I thought, so be it. I see for her now, she's planted her seed in my mind. And so my prayer of heart will be for her daily, for her to reach her goal. And with great joy, we allow this idea when anybody shares their vision with us. We don't pause and plant seeds of doubt or say, oh, the trend is. We celebrate the idea of health and strength and vitality and love always blossoming and emerging. I have another friend that's going through a scare of cancer right now, and I shared with her when I spent some time with her last week, I said, I haven't contacted you because I'm holding you in the vision of your health and your strength. I'm not seeing you with this cancer. I'm seeing you way past it and in your full expression of your healthy body again. And this is what we can turn to instead of following the downer path in our world and listening to all the downer news, is to start to really anchor into a greater vision for this world and to allow our vibration to be lifted up in such a way that people are drawn to us, drawn to all of us as a body of light that sees this greater truth and sees this revealed without doubt and without fear. And there's so much to speak about from people that have really followed their visions. And Martin Luther King very powerfully had his dream and his vision, and it is still powerfully driven today. And we will be celebrating Martin Luther King in the upcoming months. This vision that he had, and he stated this, the first step in faith, you don't have to see the whole staircase, it's that first step. You see, for the lady that's telling me she's going to lose 100 pounds, we look at the possibilities. I love that word of possibility. When we take down something that seems so big, we go into that place where our faith can take the first step, and we see this greater possibility, and we allow this vision to continue to hold us, to drive us. And another image of how we stay in line with the light is just as if you had the two headlights casting 300 vision in front of you, and you can stay within that vision of the light, and you can follow that light and be safe without fear on your journey, on your course, as you use what you know, the tools that are divinely inspiring you when you ask that question, what do I need to become for this vision to unfold? And most importantly, what do I need to let go of? And then the important part here is to follow through with what you receive, to fulfill those inner urgings, to trust your heart in the process of the unfolding. So throughout the textbook, Ernest Holmes speaks to this great intelligence, this one mind, this one avenue that we're all so connected to. And it is ours to sit in spiritual practice and make that connection, to allow ourselves to settle in comfortably with the divine through our spiritual practice. There was a beautiful passage that I had recently read when I got another book on yoga. I must have 5,000 books, and I don't know when I'm going to release them. But check the used book sale when I finally do release them, because I've got some real gems out there. But this new one was about pranayama, which is breath control, which is a practice, a higher practice in the Hatha Yoga lineage of creating that spiritual awakening. And all it talked about was laying down to relax and rest your head. And this is the part I liked because I felt just really congested through the holidays. You lay down and you let the folds of your brain open a little bit and let there be space and light. And I went, oh, doesn't that feel good? Can't you just imagine your head resting with the brain folding open a little bit? I just thought, oh, and all that light pouring in. And so I've been holding on to that image to allow, and that's kind of a rough thing for a blonde to do, let that, too much space get in there, but just enough to feel that sense of allowing the divine, allowing room for the divine to be expressed. So how do we support our visions? How do we get to that place? And it's all through prayer and through learning the wisdom, connecting with wisdom in the path of the great mystics that have such power and strength to support us. Because we're already been gifted all the gifts and the talents. All that we need, we possess already. These are the blessings. And some of these gifts are longing to be birthed and to be exposed. From the fertile soil of our own consciousness, we know in the urgings of our heart what is being called for us to do. And when we allow ourselves to sit in the opportunity to deeply vision, we are aligning with the divine ideas. We are aligning with our sacred calling. And it's exciting to be at the beginning of the year to follow your sacred calling, to hear or sense the divine ideas longing to be expressed by us. So what is that purpose? That's the question you ask as you sit in your meditation. You're still enough. You're still enough to allow that truth to emerge. You must ask what I must become, what I must release, what false ideas, so that I can be open to this greater idea expressing, so I can embrace that truth. This is what it means to be tapping into that divine guidance, that divine truth. And I was still so struck by, and I think I shared part of this, but I'm still so struck by Ernest Holmes talking about the chicken and the holding of his, sitting on the egg for 21 days. Did I share that with you guys? The chicken just knows how to do that. Ernest Holmes talks about that. His book is filled with information, but for some reason, this 21-day egg sitting has just really stuck with me. I'm thinking, how did the chicken just knows. That the soul of the chicken just knows that to care for this life, to give birth to this greater expression, he just sits on this egg for 21 days and rotates it and turns it and makes sure that it's whole and healthy. And then it knows when its work is done. We have that same innate intelligence within us to be moved by this intuition that is so filled with wisdom and intelligence that we can rely on that and trust in that greater good unfolding. Ernest Holmes says this as well. We are not forcing anything to happen. So when you're in your vision, when you're holding that truth, you're not forcing anything to happen. We are not coercing God. We're cooperating. As we recognize God's universal nature as good, good is always unfolding. If I could preach anything at all, it is that idea to anchor into that faith of knowing that a greater good is unfolding always. With our five senses, with our small mind, sometimes we can only see what we see, and we try to piece it together from what we've known before. But God is greater than even that. So we trust into that greater avenue of a good unfolding always. As we recognize that God's universal nature as good, as the source of all abundance, and as the perfection that resides behind all life, then we may come to accept all these things. We do not create them ourselves. We accept them, and in our acceptance of them, they are manifested in and as our experience. So we have this opportunity to choose this greater idea, this greater unfoldment of a greater world being revealed right here and now and being made manifest. And this parallels with this wisdom from Patanjali, which is ancient Vedic text. When you are inspired by some great purpose, some extraordinary project, all your thoughts break their bonds. All your thoughts will break their bonds. Your mind transcends the limitations. Your mind will transcend the limitation. Your consciousness expands in every direction, and you find yourself in a new, great, and wonderful world. Dormant forces, those forces within us that are longing to be expressed, come to life. Faculties and talents become alive, and you discover yourself to be a greater person by far than you ever dreamed yourself to be. Isn't that exciting? Let me see that on your faces, you serious ones. I know you're taking this all in, but it's something to be joyful about, to recognize that you are at the gateway of a new opportunity as we reach into this new, fresh year of 2014. I read a great inspiration from Anna Dea Judith, who I've studied for years as she works with the chakra world, and she wrote that as we leave the old ideas, things that have happened in 2013, it is like we are practicing hospice-type nursing as we let that go. And then we are being the midwives to birth that which is the possibilities for 2014. To birth that greater light into our experience. And when you're filled with light, when you're filled with that joy, it is a healing balm to each and every person that crosses your path, and they won't even need to know why they feel better. It's because you feel better and you feel that you're living in a truth. Paramahansa Yogananda says, seek that divine joy which gives meaning and purpose to life. Plan your life, map out the path of your desires, and they lead to peace-yielding, mind-satisfying goals. So there's this opportunity to feel your vision, to feel your heart resonate with this greater idea of God expressing through you as you. And when you take the reins, when you allow yourself to feel that you are driven by the One, that God is the one driving you, your expressions, your answers out into your world are always done with kindness and love. And the little bitter ways of the mind fade away. It's so lovely to follow vision. Charlie and I recently watched the movie The Bee with, I don't know if that's what it's called, but that little girl had vision of the words coming to her. And they would take on origami wings. I don't know if any of you saw that movie, if that stirs familiar. And it's with Richard Gere. And so it's an older movie, but this little girl is so precious. And it just reminds me, that's what the vision is. It's not a dictate that follows through your mind like ticker tape going this way. It sparkles down, and it takes form as it enters your mind, your beautiful mind of the One, and is expressed outwardly as you give it the power of your word, the power of your intention, the power of your vision. I'm excited to see you at the Christmas Eve service next year as we bless each and every one of you, and you bless us with that light. As you go to light your candle, it's just going to go poof, because you believe in yourself and you followed your vision, and a greater idea has been expressed, and this world is changing because of you. Because of you. Isn't that exciting? We don't have to whine about the news or health care, because we are taking a proactive sense of consciousness with all that there is, and we are staying in tune with the divine, recognizing that the power of our word, the power of our life, is the source of the One. So, I'm getting the sign to just take a moment. Let the silence open your mind. Let your lips smile that deep personal joy that you've heard a truth today. That the power of God, the power of light and love and truth is expressed by means of you. That you have chosen this day to show up, to be the body, the vehicle for God to express this greater good out into the world. You are an ambassador. I am an ambassador of this truth. And as we accept this mission, as we accept and walk one step at a time into the light, we are divinely guided and inspired in every way. There is no fear, there is no doubt. We are worthy, we are willing, we are ready. So we give thanks for the opportunity to be all that God has designed us to be. I release these words into the universe, knowing that imagery and light sparkle down upon us, and we are guided all the way. Thank you, God, and so it is.
So I'm proud to introduce Reverend Sue Miller-Bourne with the topic, Believing Your Vision.
All right. For a minute, I thought I was at the 9 o'clock. Good morning and Happy New Year. And really allowing that happiness to flow through you. Absolutely exquisite music and perfect choice for the topic. So thank you, choir, for bringing your heart and your voices here today. And a beautiful treatment, Charlie. The idea, I'm so passionate about this idea of visioning because it's contagious and it sets us on fire to really live all that we truly long to be, that which drives us and that which always has that question before us, what is my divine purpose? And a visioning just a month ago with Cher, she was all lit up. It was hard to keep her quiet so we could go through the questions because she wanted this vision just to be on the calendar, and that was this vision with her book. And you can feel it, can't you, when she gets up here to talk about it? It's just like we all want balance. We all want to be happy and light like Cher. And so there's this idea that she just brought to life, and it percolated through. It percolated through the moment we sat very quietly in the pavilion working on the visions, working on what is my divine purpose? What am I called here to do? And this whole year we declare it right now for you, so if you were feeling grumpy, get over it because this is a joyous year. All right? This is the book that we'll keep having in our bookstore, and it's called The Joyous Living Journal, and it's 365 Days of Inspiration. And it's written by a couple of incredible ministers, and I picked this up last year at one of the conferences, and I just love how insightful it is, and it also gives you some work to do as well. So it's a wonderful opportunity for you to pose your questions to yourself and to light your own fire, and to set your questions in such a way that you sit quietly and receive the answers. For January 4th, it says, believe in your vision. And it starts off saying, believe in yourself. You have a vision. You have a vision. You have a calling. You have a sacred yearning. We all do. We were born with it the moment we were drawn to the light and took our first deep breath and let out that first call into the universe that sounded like a cry to other people, but to us it was just declaring that we have arrived. Since then, you've had this longing to follow the light of your true nature, so believe in yourself. You are a delivery system for love and life. The inner urge that is pushing you towards something is life itself, wanting to be expressed through you as you. We cannot say that enough in this teaching. God speaks through you, as your divine personal self. It was lovely to see. Who wants to sing and to see extra people come up? I have a voice. I have a vision of myself singing. And it's just beautiful to allow that life to show up as you. Your heart's desire is what is right for you. Now, this isn't the simple desire just for a candy bar or a new car. It's not about, oh, I hope I get this or I get that. It's so much deeper. And it's so much more filled with the fire and the passion of life itself. This fire in your belly and the vision in your heart that you have for what you want to make of your life. You know, what do you want to make of your life? It's so important and vital, no matter if you're just this cute little baby that's here longing to see what the expression is going to be in this individual's life, or one of us elders that have done a lot through this teaching, and we keep finding more. There is no end to this journey. You can co-create your dreams into reality and live the authentic, meaningful life for which you are longing. This is the purpose of your life. This is the purpose to express your gift. And you can think small and say, I don't have a gift. We all have a gift. We all have a gift to offer. And remember, this is love's urge, longing through you to be expressed and supported and move into a direction of your heart's desire. Life believes in you. We believe in you. You need to believe in that same sense of self, that fire inside of you. So the question, the reflection she poses, what's on fire in your heart and mind? What burning inner urge lights up your eyes and makes you come alive? What is it? What makes you come alive? What makes you so excited that you can't wait to share it with your best friend? You know, it's just this moment of really trusting in that longing of the heart's desire. And so when we practice visioning, when we speak to this idea of visioning, we're not speaking about visualization. We're not trying to outline to God, okay, it's got to look like this, and I have to do this. There is a difference in this visioning. It's a way to dialogue and commune with the one where your intuition is the voice of spirit flowing through you as you. And you will know that because it will light you on fire. And it will allow you to move through your community so empowered and so impassioned with these new ideas of who you are and what you want to see demonstrated in the world around you. When we vision, you cultivate this space in the tenderness of meditation, developing that deep inner calm, that place where we could become very still. And we breathe deeper. The song about breathing invokes that wonderful wellspring of divine love, divine urge, and it starts to be the very pulse of our being. And as we saturate ourselves with that stillness, we ask that question to the divine because we have filtered out all the other voices. We have tamed the five senses so that they are not pulling us and distracting us. We have quieted that voice that makes us feel that we're not worthy. We shut that voice down, and we sit in a place as an avenue, as a conduit to the one. And so then we say to the divine, what is your idea? What is your divine idea? What does it look like for me? And you'll always get an answer. I was so excited after the 9 o'clock service. People were coming up saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and I feel ready now. And I thought, well, you go for it. That's what it is. That's what it means as the year turns around. It's not to list out all the things that you want to feel better about yourself and look a different way, eat a different way, drink more water. All these things are all good, and they're wonderful to help build your idea of who you think you are. But greater than that, longing for to be expressed is this divine urge, this call inside of you that is so filled with passion and fire. And then you feel, as you sit with that question, you just see, what comes to me, what images? And you can start to grab into your mind and try to reach out for something, but you just watch it trickle down through you. And it'll come through an image, because the soul speaks to you through imagery, through sound, through a sensation. You might quicken in the heart and you realize, oh, I see. In this morning's visioning that we did, the sharing of the group was so profound to me. And I remember in my own vision, I kept thinking, because you can feel like I'm not getting anything, and you just can kind of sit there, and then all of a sudden I felt this image of this, and it wasn't me, but it was just a white being. It's just this open up, let's all just open up and feel that sense of light and power. And I thought, that's what we're asking of ourselves, is to let go of an old idea and to break through and to celebrate this great joy that is longing at this time in our world and on our planet to be birthed and expressed and demonstrated. So we ask these questions: what does it feel like and look like? What qualities of God are trying to express through me? What is my part in this vision unfolding? And the answers will come, and we come to that question, what must I become to allow this to be expressed out into my world? What is that for me? What do I need to know or become? And the answers come. And we listen to that still small voice, and we listen to the imagery, and it could come in an impact, and you can go, whoa, and then comes that, well, I don't know if I can do that. Well, wait a minute, And maybe that was for the person next to me. I don't want that one. That's, and trying to get your consciousness to shift onto them. But it's yours. It was downpoured into you. This is so exciting to me, because when Ernest Holmes says we all are tapped into that one divine intelligence, we all have that. Whoa, we're all contributing and have a piece of that genius that's out there. And we could have confined ourselves to a particular IQ that we were told we had at a certain age. But we've so much outgrown that. You know what I get a kick out of? This is so not anywhere. I ask people, when I'm doing some measurements for them, I'll ask them how much they weigh, of course, and we have to get on a scale to prove it. And there's always this big issue, they strip down everything. Earrings come off, and they're like, and I'm thinking, the truth is the truth. Whatever it's going to be, it's going to show up on these numbers. But I don't necessarily measure their height. I'll ask them what their height is, and they'll tell me. And I'm wondering, how many people have measured your height recently besides some of the young kids here? I know, you have. Very good. Because a lot of people say, I'm looking down on them, and they're saying, I'm 5'10". Really. But the point is, we're stuck with this image of ourselves from when we got our driver's license, which is another whole story of trying to change those figures. I'm so afraid I'm going to get a ticket, and he's going to go, what? It's a divine idea of me, I'll say. But I'm totally off on where I'm going here. But this idea of what we need to change in order for this vision to be unfolding. And what must I release? And we know that answer. We know that answer, and that's where our spiritual mind treatment and our work comes to fruition. When we recognize, what must I let go of for this greater idea of myself to emerge? When I was a young child, I had these inklings of talking to President Eisenhower to talk to him about world peace. That vision continues to drive me as I choose to write peace practices every month for the awareness, as I choose to show up at 4 a.m. to to do the world healing meditation. It drives me. It lights my fire to know that I can give voice to an idea, to an understanding, to a knowing, to a passion for peace. And so I know you each have those little inklings inside of you, those divine urges that draw us. So you recognize what gifts you bring towards your vision, and you recognize what must be released and embraced to allow this greater truth to be made manifest. You recognize what you need to allow others to do. As they offer their heart to you, you don't turn away. You see, it's all about opening up. This level of working with vision is such a divine connection. It is the answer all our hearts have been seeking. It's the spiritual work that's allowing these visions to be made manifest. And then as the vision unfolds inside of you, as you contemplate deeply, and you don't have to be visioning every single day, you allow the vision to pour through, you allow the answers to percolate through your heart, you witness demonstrations and imagery coming to support you with love and kindness along the way, and you realize you are the doer. As you allow yourself to become, it effortlessly unfolds before you. And there is this idea of, sometimes I get anxious. I think, well, it has to do with intuition, and I'm not sure about my intuition. And so you play around with the intuition. You play around with those moments in your life where you're saying, well, what's on my mind right now? What should I do? And you ask a question, and then you deeply listen, and then you do what it says. So mine was, wear this scarf with this outfit. What? That could be bothering somebody out there. Oh, well. It's those little ways that I start to follow and just to trust. And what does the scarf mean to me? It was a gift from Charlie. And it makes me feel warm. And it makes me feel safe. And so I cloak myself from a distance from him in this sense. And so these ideas, this intuition, it drives us. And I was sharing with the earlier service my favorite story recently with Ernest Holmes, with this chicken, with this idea of the chicken, and now I'm looking at you as all chickens. And I brought this story because it speaks to this intuitive sense in nature, recognizes only oneness. This intuitive call, this urging, this divine nudge inside of us is the only way God can speak through us, as us. And Ernest Holmes says this, did you ever set a hen? If so, you know that you put hens under her, or you put her on top of the eggs, and she sits there for 21 days, and then the eggs can hatch out. What caused that first hen to set on the eggs? It evidently was not an accumulation of previous experiences, which she had had, or something she had consciously thought about. Hear this is so potent. She had never figured out that it takes exactly 21 days to do the job. Hens do not live by a calendar, nor do they know the difference between Monday or Friday. Some intuitional sense caused her to lay the eggs, sit on them, and to know what to do when the chickens came out when they hatched. What is this unconscious direction moving intuitively? What is that? Don't you question that? Isn't that a mystery? Or do you just go, oh, that's what a chicken does? No, it's the universal intelligence which is operating everywhere. You're a divine conduit of that same universal intelligence. That should empower you, not weaken you and make you whimper and say, oh, I went to church today and they wanted me to do something with my life. Yeah. You calmly, placidly, she sits, and I want you to all sit calmly and placidly. I had given this challenge to my class when we read this, that they had 21 days to hatch a newer idea of themselves. She never left her nest long enough for the eggs to get cold. So you never leave the divine idea long enough to let it get cold or go dormant. You're turning them every day. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that a wisdom? Turning them every day so the chickens will develop normally. Instinctive omniscience is the only answer. The hen never doubts, so that's why I'm looking at you like chickens. You're never going to doubt, never question, never argue, never complain. I don't know what that bawk is, but it's not complaining. There she sits, and the eggs will hatch because the hen has followed the law of her instinct. The law of your instinct. The law, it is done unto you as you believe. And there is, that's a powerful testimony to the power of this teaching, to the intention behind our teaching. And so when we start to look at the idea of visioning, I mentioned that it's a higher form of communication with the divine, because again, we're not outlining the whole experience. We're allowing this higher form of light to be employed. This is very mystical teaching, and Reverend Mary will certainly direct you in some of these practices as she works with the new teaching, because with the mystical class that she's going to be doing, it's very, very powerful, because it brings in Goldsmith and Carolyn Mays and some other very profound teachers of this mystical idea. And so here we're thinking of this idea of this in the world of yoga, in the esoteric teachings there, it's one of your 6th chakras. It's right here. It's what they refer to as the third eye, the eye of wisdom, the eye of clairvoyance and intuition and understanding. It's where we image and we have ideas. And so when we allow the light to pour through and to recognize that this is an awakening opportunity for us, we're employing these higher forms of light, and we're using this idea to follow this light, to follow this wisdom. Can you imagine, as I was preparing for this talk, I kept thinking of all the Bible stories that talked about the visions. And you can name all those. I tried to look them all up, and I thought, there's so many visions. What if they all went, oh, not me? The Bible would be really tiny. If those people didn't choose to follow and have the courage to follow those visions, to follow the light, and every time they had a vision, it was profound. The whole room was filled with light. And so we follow this light, and we allow ourselves to perceive this greater understanding. And then once we perceive it, you see what must happen is we must follow. This is what, in the middle of the night, whenever I look at all this material on a Saturday, and then at night I just pray that it percolates through for a message that makes sense to you and to me. And what came through so loud kept saying, thy will be done. Oh, I remember that in the Lord's Prayer. Thy will be done. And it took me into such a soft place of following that divine guidance, to allow what is divine will for us to experience joy and love and peace and power and light. Those are the divine gifts of the One. And so thy will be done when we follow those urgings of the soul. So there's many stages of our consciousness that try to grasp this. And at first, when we first start to explore spirituality, sometimes it's just random fantasies that kind of float through and just kind of quicken. And it's mostly mental creation. And so there's these 2 levels of that fantasy, and then the mental creation where we start writing art and books and myth. So we start to develop it a little bit. It no longer becomes something fleeting, but we start to apply ourselves. And then there's also another level through the yogic tradition that speaks of the spontaneous visionary insight that arises from the conscious mind. Oh, this is what blows us away about Mozart and Einstein. Wow, where'd they get that? We have that same ability to tap into that deep knowing. And then comes the pure practice of this deep contemplation and visioning. And this is what is so different about it, is because you feel it. So much of spiritual truth, as it percolates through our idea of a mind, and then it unites and gives birth through the heart, we attach our emotion and our passion through the heart space of our body. And here's where the power of your vision begins to unfold. This is what Cher so beautifully demonstrates, because she had this idea and she merged it with the power of her heart. So her idea now has feeling, and we can all experience her passion. So how do we then find this vision? How do we allow it to be made real into our world and affect our people around us in a greater way, for greater joy and good? We pray. We pray, we pray. And we continue to allow our prayers to hold this higher good, to hold our deepest intentions, to allow that idea of spirit to pour through each and every one of us as vessels of light. The sacred calling that is working through you. As it binds with your emotions, you recognize that you are making an impact on your world. It is Dr. Michael Beckwith that states that it is a sacred calling. It's a sacred calling within us to be willing to become in consciousness now what is declared for you to follow in those inner nudgings, to align with the joy. And don't be so serious about it. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Because it's this the part of you where spirit, this is what you long for. To me, this is what the spiritual journey is all about, is to find an avenue to express that greater idea. I was visiting my mother over the holiday, and she can hardly walk. She's very crippled up, and she was saying, I just wish I could cut my leg off. And I sat back with my daughter, and I watched her, and I felt great empathy and sorrow for her, but I also felt that it was a calling to me. May I walk and move as I can for the rest of the days of my life, as I can now. May I use her suffering to inspire me to get off my butt and to move. Because I don't want to end up so sorry I didn't do the things when I could do them. And so everything is a message for us to move into the greater visions. No, and they could pour in so many ways, in so many beautiful ways. And we surrender. We surrender, and we allow ourselves to be loved from this place, and we allow the visions to hold us. To hold us. That message comes through time and again. It is our privilege to give birth to these greater idea of ourself. So as I said before, in the Bible it says, ask and it shall be given to you. So I leave you with that. Oh, all I need to do is ask. Ask and it shall be given to you. This statement shows up in all faith paths, but in Matthew it's very clear. Seek and you shall find. Knock and it shall be opened unto you. For everyone that asks, you will receive. Everyone that asks, you will receive. And what you seek will find you. What you seek will find you. And if you knock, the door will be opened. So if you are sitting in that space, in the question, ask it, and then deeply listen. Transcend your senses and your intellect, and allow the possibility of all these wonderful ideas and solutions to pour through you. There could be an end of all the suffering if we all started to do the work and not waited or blaming anyone else. It's such an exciting time. There's so many of us to do this great work, to recognize, as Ernest Holmes says, perfect God within me, perfect life within me, which is God, come forth into expression through me as that which I am. Come forth through me as that which I am. Lead me ever into the path of perfection. Cause me to see only good. Let yourself put on the glasses where only you see good. Be annoying to everyone else when they're complaining, and turn it all around and say, I see only good. But the healthcare system, I see it unfolding and evolving. Ah, but the government, I see them trying and praying at night. Oh, but the weather. I see all people coming to the Mother Earth and saying that we're sorry. Now we get it. You know, there's so many ways you can turn all situations around and just be the one that's creating a direct knowing that transcends the minds, and you leave other people going, huh? What was that? That was truth. That was truth. So, there's so much here. I have to close. But I want to close with this idea, as Michael Beckwith says, the power of the vision is like a spiritual vortex that allows others to be pulled in the same direction when we are true to our vision. So not only are you a bunch of chickens about to give birth to a greater idea, but you're also in a vortex that is drawing the whole world with you into that divine light. Isn't that exciting? Wasn't that worth getting up for today? I think so. Woo. It's making me have goosebumps all over because I believe in the power of this teaching, and I believe in each and every one of you, and I believe in God. So as we come to the close, we give space to allow that vision, to allow God to speak, to sing, to dance, to be expressed through you as you. Because each and every one of us are plugged in to the divine circuit. It makes us breathe, it makes our hearts beat, it makes us alive with life. So each and every one of you, the power of this new year, the revelations continue to stir in you to a greater awakening of your vision for this world, for your life, for your good, for God. So I give thanks for your willingness to listen, for the power that moves through me to speak a truth that I believe in with every cell of my body. I release this in gratitude, letting it be so. And together we say, and so it is. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.